Oh, I haven't. Oh, no.
We have Paul and David.
I'm going to just jump back out and log in under not my child's name. So I'll be back.
Okay. Is the majority in, David? Or are they still coming?
Everyone's in.
Okay. I'm gonna call the meeting to order of the CAC for Poway Unified School District at 6:32. I'm gonna ask Tristy Gates to call the roll.
Sorry, your screen went big and then I lost mine. All right, Heather Plotsky,
Here.
Heather Marshall, Rosabelle is not coming. You said yes.
Correct. She's gonna try it later.
Okay. David Choi is here. Alex Sparks, Jill Cooley.
She's gonna try to come in at the end.
Okay. Anna Reyes. No. Kate Whelan, we saw. Nita was here, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Sam Trink.
Yes.
Yes.
Jeanette Anderson, I saw. Jody Payne, I saw. Greg, no, not yet. And Deborah, right? Yes. Am I missing anyone? Okay, that's all I've got.
So we have more than 5 voting members, correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so
3,
we have
4,
a
5.
quorum.
Yes, we do.
All right. Welcome everyone to the first meeting of the year. And I'm Heather Plotsky, the chair of the CAC for 21-22. And I'm going to ask Tristy to read the public input.
Okay, so public input, an opportunity for members of the public to share comments and concerns with the CAC. In the interest of time, speakers are limited to 3 minutes each, with a total of 15 minutes allotted for all public input. Please respect student and personnel privacy. CAC members and district staff cannot respond to individual concerns in this forum, but will take your contact information for future follow-up. The committee in this section takes no action. Public testimony forms can be found on our agenda and on the CAC website in both English and Spanish. And if you have a comment and the effort to be able to find you guys, if you could put in the chat who would like to make a comment, we can go from there. Give it a minute to see if anybody puts anything in the chat. Or if you're unable to chat, if you want to unmute yourself. I'm not seeing or hearing anything.
Yeah, I just scrolled through and a lot of people have the boxes off.
Okay.
Or cameras off. So if no one has any public comments, we're going to move on to the next item, which is approval of the minutes. So the last minutes were from June 8th. So this is for an action item for the members to vote on. Would someone like to make a motion on the June 8th minutes for approval? Or is there any discussion or changes that are necessary first?
I motion to approve the minutes. Alex?
I second that.
Who was the second?
Kate Whelan.
And we need a vote. You can unmute.
All ayes,
Aye.
nays? All right, then motion carried unanimously by a vote of all ayes and no nay votes.
Awesome. Okay. Now move on to the district liaison report. There was one question that was sent to the district liaison from an anonymous, and it was sent in advance to the district. That is the only question we have. If one of the directors could answer that issue, and then we look forward to hearing your report.
So we have with us today, I can jump in and explain this, and we did invite, well, she's always here with us, but Jody Payne is our director who oversees parent engagement, and she handles all of our legal and complaint-based issues that take place in the district. And so I can kind of give a brief overview, and then Jody can jump in or clarify any questions if that's okay with you. When we are talking about ESS, we're talking about a program that exists outside of the school day. And so IDEA in and of itself addresses student needs as designated under special ed that take place primarily during the school day. So when we have a complaint about discrimination taking place in ESS, it definitely is something that we as a school district want to know about and want to address, but it's not necessarily a special education item. So for the most part, the legal or discriminatory aspects that apply to ESS are based under ADA in Section 504. And so when we have those complaints, we definitely want to work with ESS to resolve them and help our families. But I just wanted to make everybody aware that it's not a special education issue per se. Jody, was there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, that was nicely said. The only other piece, well, I shook my head no, but I'm still talking. The only other piece that I would add is if there are specific questions, please do reach out to us, and we can certainly have conversations with you, more extensive conversations with you related to your individual child concerns outside of this arena, and help guide you to others that would be able to assist with your concerns.
Who specifically, Jody, should we have them reach out to?
How about me?
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. And what other lovely stuff do you guys have for us tonight?
I don't think that we have anything else specific unless there's more questions to be answered. We've gotten off to a good school year start. We think it's been busy, it's been chaotic. We're really working hard to fill some staffing shortages in the district that were not expected. But I have to say, I feel like all of the staff and administration at all the school sites are really coming together to do their best to make sure that happens. It's not perfect. We're coming off of a pandemic. I think everybody went into the school year thinking it was going to be easier than last year, and it's been not easier than last year. So, but we want our parents to continue to feel like they can reach out to us, and that we will, do our very best to address all of their concerns and needs. We know that it's been hard for kids trying to make a really big adjustment. And so we just, I think as a team, want to let you know that we're here, reach out. We're going to do our best to address and resolve any concerns and answer any questions. So just know that we're accessible and available to you.
Jeanette, I'll jump in on that. I want to thank this group in particular for your patience with us. This pandemic has been super challenging, and we know your kids and your families have been impacted in lots of ways. And as Jeanette had referenced, you know, this thing has lasted longer than any of us had hoped it would. And, you know, I think we all had that belief in June, you know, coming off of what had been a very, very difficult year, that August would be different. And it is, and it's not. And so thank you for hanging in there with us. We recognize, right, that we're far from perfect right now. So with staffing shortages, just energy, people are tired. And you know, they went into the summer tired, and you know, they came back tired. And I think they're a little bit discouraged. That's what I see. People are feeling overwhelmed. So I think it's really, really important right now that we're sensitive how we communicate with one another. I think it's really, really important right now that we focus on solutions and not blame, and that we continue to work together. I think we've made great progress in recent years, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the relationships that we've established and are establishing, and for the trust that's growing. And I thank you for your partnership. It matters now more than ever, quite frankly. So there's not a person on our side that doesn't want to improve the student experience, doesn't want to do great things with and for your kids. There's not a person over here that, you know, it isn't working double time. So, but wow, this moment has stretched us. I'll just say that. It stretched us. So I will say, just finished a school board meeting. So for those of you that could join us and those of you that couldn't, I understand it's not normal that we would have a board meeting on a Tuesday, but because of what happened last week, right? That's the spot we found ourselves in. So, but there was a nice shout out for Deb and Jody, and that came from Michelle O'Connor Ratcliffe, and it was a shout out for their effort launching this parent ambassador program. Another one of those initiatives that again gives me great hope that forward we'll expand this partnership, and we'll have a designated person or two for every one of our schools that can meet and greet people whose children are newly qualifying for services, and who can meet and greet those families who are coming into our district from neighboring districts whose children already have IEPs. So just a quick shout out to Jody and Deb. And I think if you're curious, if your child's school has an ambassador, like if there's a wondering there, I would encourage you to reach out to Deb or Jody, but probably Deb's your point person in this space. So reach out to her, and I'm certain that she can share with you kind of the update where our need is and where there's opportunity. So I want to encourage you that way.
Great. Thank you, Greg. So the next thing on the agenda is actually a new thing on the agenda. It's the Board of Education report. So we were planning on having, it's listed under old business, a board member come and talk to us every month. And Michelle O'Connor Radcliffe has graciously volunteered to be that person in case one of the other rotating members was not going to be here. But I don't think she's logged on because, as Greg said, they just finished their Board of Ed meeting. So this week of this month, I'm sure we're not going to have a board report because of that quick turnaround from their meeting. Because gosh, Greg, you just got done like 45 minutes ago. I know I just ended up watching it. So so that is not going to be there. And to finish that, I'm going to discuss the old business before I do my chair report. So we, as a team last year, decided to invite the Board of Ed to do this board report. And it was spoken both by Rosabelle and I at the end of the year report. We invited them in person, and we sent a formal invitation out in writing to all the board members and to their administrative assistants. And both Michelle O'Connor Radcliffe and Cindy Seisma both responded saying that they were going to attend, especially while we're in Zoom, as many meetings as possible. And I don't think out of all the meetings last year, I think Ms. O'Connor Radcliffe missed maybe one meeting out of the whole entire year last year. So in Cindy, who was the newest board member, she was at several last year as well already. We did not hear back from any of the other board members. So I will be following up with the other members. I had planned on last Thursday going and taking one of those 3-minute slots and asking or putting in a verbal comment on that, trying to get a response from the other board members to see if we could get some more attendance. So I will follow up in a letter instead, because that was very chaotic at the board meeting, and I think it's going to be for the next few board meetings. So that is where that is sitting. But at least we're going to have 2 board members regularly attending to split that up for us. Chair report, unless there's any questions on that. I wanted to welcome everybody back, and I look forward to having a great year. I think with the end of 2021 school year and now looking forward to the 21-22 school year, I think it's full of promise. I know we still have a lot of issues, and there's, you know, it's just tumultuous, but getting the kids back into school, and there's, you know, an adjustment period. There's a lot of kids are going back into the SAI program for the first time, and it's a huge adjustment period. But I think there's a lot of things and a lot of change happening all at once, and I think it's going to settle down. But I think for us as a CAC, it's giving us a lot of opportunity of where we didn't last year was all focused, all COVID all the time, and we were just chasing our tails and trying to keep up. This is going to give us a better chance to work with the community and the district on what we should be focused on, and that's our kids' education, not just their safety and not just COVID. And it's not just about medical issues anymore. This is going to get us back on track to work on education focus. So there's a couple housekeeping issues that I need to mention as a new chair, and as well, thank you, Heather Marshall, for being the co-chair, and Tristy for being our amazing secretary and helping us stay together. As you noticed, I sent out the letter yesterday to everybody as the Heathers. That was because that's what we now are. The agenda additions that we sent out yesterday, that is not something that we're going to normally be able to do. It doesn't keep us in compliance with the Brown Act. And it was only done yesterday because of the amount of last minute items to the pre-goals. And we did that as a help Christy with note keeping for tonight. We got an enormous amount of people requesting to add agenda items way after the deadline and I mean, like right up until I was getting them yesterday. That can't happen. When we set the deadline, it's because we have to have the agenda posted 72 hours ahead of the board meeting, and that's to get in line with the Board Act or the Brown Act, sorry. So if you're submitting items for the agenda, they have to be done by the date that's being sent out, and they need to be sent to the PUSD CAC email. So it's pusdcac@gmail.com, not to the secretary personal email, not to my personal email. They need to go through that other email, please. So they're all going to one direction in one place. So I appreciate that, and we'll move on to new business. So we're in Zoom today, and we are going to be in Zoom for sure with the way the CDPH, is that correct, Greg? How the right initials of alphabet soup through November for sure. As of right now is where our meetings are scheduled. We can maintain that if we, I talked to Greg, if we would like into the future though. And we may have to, I mean, depending on where COVID sits, as of November, but right now it's definitely through November. Our meetings will be in Zoom. If we would like to, though, because of the attendance was so high last year for our meetings, and they've never been the numbers they were last year, it's something as a group of CAC members that we can look at and make an action item at next month's meeting to consider maintaining it in a Zoom format. The district has offered to allow us to use their Zoom platform, whether if we wanted to stay in a Zoom format. So I'd like to ask the members what they think about that.
I think that the Zoom format would be really beneficial for us because it allows us to have different, people from different areas, whether or not they have childcare. And so it allows us to have the flexibility.
Can I comment on that? Can I comment on that? I agree. I think for me personally, sorry, if you're not speaking, can you please mute? For most parents, particularly if you're managing multiple therapies in the home, it can be difficult to attend, and I think it really encourages greater participation for all of us. After Thursday, my life is going to become a little bit easier, but I can be there. But I totally understand how difficult it can be. So.
Okay.
And the parent ambassadors had a meeting today and a couple weeks ago, and we did it on Zoom. So it was, I feel like if that works and that kind of hybrid format, I think it should be fine for CAC. I don't know if Deb and Jody can agree with that or not, but I mean, like I was on Zoom, so it was fine for me. Deb, was it? I mean, or Jody, did you think it was fine for the like, could you see us or hear us properly while you guys were there in real life?
I'd like to say that's where I'd mark the box. It's complicated, just because it is challenging. There were, I felt some emotions that were happening in the group that were in person that perhaps the folks on Zoom weren't able to pick up on. So I don't know that it's the complete feel, but I also appreciate the fact that there are some individuals that aren't able to come in person. So if you're asking if it's something that can be done, it can be done.
This is something the community members can also, we'd like to hear your opinions. Like I said, we have 29 people here tonight. Last year we were having huge numbers come depending on the month and depending on what the topics were. And this doesn't necessarily have to be even when COVID lights end up. I mean, we can have events in person, just like we did for the meet and greet. We did that in person, but and it was in an open area. We can do, that doesn't mean we can't have events in person if it was something like that. But I know I personally love this because I got to see the Board of Ed meeting, and then I got to do this, and I can maybe make some of my child's back to school night, which happens to all be in one exact night tonight. So it just seems to make it easier. We don't have to get a sitter for that. But that's my opinion. So I know, like I said, we're going to be in this format for sure till November. We don't even know if the CDPH is going to release it after that. But if we'd like to put it on the agenda for next month to make it an action item that we want to continue it. And the reason why I'd like to do that is because talking to Danielle and the district, if we are going to say Zoom, we'd like to for the rest of the main meetings, we can release the room and other people can take the room. Is why if we want to stay Zoom and just have regular meetings Zoom, we can release the room.
Somebody added in the chat that having the meeting in Zoom makes it so they can attend. So it's very appreciated from the community.
I know one of the other things that had come up too on having it on Zoom was that I found that some of the parents' feedback was it wasn't as intimidating as coming in person as well. It's being able to speak up or hear what was going on.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion of putting it as an action item to vote then next month on if we'd like to say Zoom, whether they make it or mandatory or not?
Sure, I motion to add that to our agenda next month.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
And a vote? Or further discussion?
Aye.
I obviously is motioned.
Aye.
Okay, perfect. So I will add that to the agenda to vote to have all the further regular meetings be in Zoom format. And thank you, Greg, for even allowing that as an option. And then we can decide on case by case if it's allowable for the meeting or the events. Okay. Perfect.
And Heather, just adding to the chat, a lot of people are saying Zoom is awesome. I can go to multiple meetings. I can be a mom and listen to the meeting at the same time. So both my husband and I can attend is what it says. So yes, it's pretty positive feedback is what the chat says.
Fabulous. Excellent. Yeah, I thought that was gonna be, and we will definitely get those copied into the notes. So the other main part of the new business is the goals for 2021, 2022 goals. And the way down at the bottom of the agenda for all that, see, I don't know who's ever in control of the screen. The
David.
goals from the 2020, 2021 goals. I had someone read, I double checked. All of those goals are either rewritten or completed. So those were all finished. And so you can actually, so those are done. I double checked. We either completed them all or they're worked into the new goals that were proposed by members. And these were as starting points. These were from either people sent me emails or they were in the Google Doc form that people sent out. So these are not set in stone, but these are something like they were a starting point to look at. So like I said, we are totally completed with the 2021 goals. It's just the proposed goals section. One thing I'd like to suggest is make them, and I tried to do that a little bit. I didn't necessarily like how they were so rigid and set and broken into pieces. And so, I don't even know how to say it. So stiffly written last year. We don't have, that's not the kind of population we have. They needed to be more plain spoken, I felt, with the goals. And so I know when I typed them, that was the way I was typing them up, and people typed them actually that way in the forms. So I put them that way. We can definitely change them to be anything we want because they're lengthy, but I think they just should be much simpler instead of looking like a manual. And we definitely are going to get them translated into Spanish as well when we do this. So did everybody get a chance to look over the goals? I know the top two goals, After I typed them up, the reach out program. Because like I said, I didn't write all these myself. I was cut and pasting from what you guys had suggested as members and sent out. I felt maybe that should not just be preschool about that. And does that goal, is that for us, or does the ambassadors program take care of that maybe now?
I think
don't-
that,
Go ahead.
oh, sorry. I think that, you know, having family outreach be a main goal of ours is something that it would be appropriate. I feel like some of these things get super nitty gritty, and I don't know. I feel like we might be able to consolidate these into categories and kind of write more general goals that address each of them without, you know, specifically pinpointing X, Y, Z and the other, just to allow us to have a year to address all of the components rather than trying to tackle all of these little tiny things all throughout the year. But if we can kind of consolidate them into categories, it might be a little bit more cohesive. But I think, yeah, the parent ambassador program definitely is a big part of the outreach and the connection. But I still think that that is something that should be a focus of the CAC, is just, you know, making sure that we are also a resource in addition to the ambassador program.
Okay. How do we want to tackle this list? Do we want to mull it over for I mean, like I said, when I asked for the answers, some people sent them, some people didn't. I took these from the survey. How do we want to approach it? Do we want to spitball it tonight? Do you want me to read these out loud to everybody? I definitely tried to combine some of them. There was several that were the same. So I was trying to combine them into two goals.
So I have a question. Do we need to like vote on them, agree on them? What's the next?
We definitely need to get at least a list and then make a vote for next month. Have like,
Okay.
this is a list. Or I mean,
Is this something that like the governance committee could try to consolidate and others could join in and help with that? Is that what committee would best?
well, in past years, the full committee made the goals list,
Okay.
including staff and others.
Well, yeah, so I feel like if this is all of us, so I've sat in some of those meetings where if we are, you know, when we were face to face, people would kind of spitball them and then we would kind of write them all down into like
Yeah.
this format. And then the next meeting, it was more consolidated and something to vote on based on like how we kind of put it all together. So that's what I was wondering if maybe a subcommittee could try to like make this sound prettier and, you know, consolidate it into maybe categories, and that would be what we vote on.
It definitely, in my view, looking at it, it just needs a bit of discussion because it's just a whole bunch of a hodgepodge of ideas, and there's some good ideas in there, but maybe
and
it just
some
needs
of them are
finessing.
Mhm.
Yes.
and some of them should just be broken out to like, this is for the, like some of it, one of them is just, it's your committee, Kate. And like so some of them are just ideas that like belong to this committee or they belong to this committee, and it just needs to be sectioned out. It doesn't need to be necessarily a goal for the entire committee. It's just an assignment to, so like I said, I just made the list and compiled it for everybody. It's some of it's just like, oh, we need to assign this to the right committee. It doesn't necessarily need to be a goal of the whole committee. And like I said, I removed some of the stuff, like one of the goals of last year was to review the LCAP. Well, we already do that. That the governance committee does that. It's our job. It's in the the rules. We have to do it. It's in our bylaws. So I just removed that because the governance committee has to do that anyways. So I took that off the list. So like working on the website, I mean, as an example, working with the district to update the websites on a more regular basis. An example of the parent ambassador page on the district SPED page by site names, there's no links. You know, they list the names, and they list the names of the program specialist, but when you click the names, it doesn't go anywhere. Like there was no email or contact information. So any parent that went to it, well, how do I get a hold of a program specialist? Or like there was no email or how to get a hold of them. It didn't really help anybody, I thought. So that, I mean, and who sent that, I was like, okay, that makes sense. That something needs to get fixed, but that really should be to you, because you're the
Yeah, that's me.
committee. So that goes to your committee. So some of this, you're right, can just get assigned to committees.
Well, and like the continuing discussions around mental health, that falls under the social emotional wellness committee, right? And then some of these, like offering support and advice in recruiting, training, and then, you know, monitoring dyslexia. I feel like that could be just like consolidated instead of specifying, you know, AIDS and dyslexia, just, you know, advocating for, you know, continued trainings for special ed staff, you know, across all areas. And then you could even say like, i.e. AIDS, busing, you know, dyslexia, whatever it might be, and just have it kind of more broad scope goal with some of these things being like as examples.
Okay. So who wants to volunteer to work on, I will definitely work on that. Like I said, but I can't be the person that going, okay, well, this is going to go to, I'm assigning this to Kate's subcommittee and I'm assigning this to my committee. And this should be a category for a goal. I need somebody to go, okay, we're going to work on this before next month. And then we can bring up the goals. And are there more goals did everybody read the list at least? Okay, I think there's more goals that I'd like to add as a group. Can we get that at least?
I'm happy to help again after Thursday. I'm taking my son to college, and that's my focus at the moment.
Okay.
Heather, I'll help too.
Okay.
Was that Heather Marshall?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And I'm going to do it. And
then we'll just vote on them next month, correct? Like once they're put into a list, we can, you know, have it sent out to the members to look over, and then we'll vote on it next month. Or do you need me to motion that we'll vote on it next month?
I think we need a vote. I mean, is everybody okay with myself, Heather Marshall, and Kate assigning these goals to different teams? And that's just their job. So they're not going to be CAC goals. They're just going to be jobs for these committees. And then we're going to make the list of goals to vote on.
You could even put it into like a working document that's shared with the board members, so we can put input on the side or whatever too before the meeting as well.
Yeah, if you made it like a document that we could all kind of see, like on a Google Doc or something.
Right, and like you can protect it so things can't be changed, but you can put suggestions on the side that can be used. So.
Okay, well, I nominate Tristan to be part of our group. I don't know how to do that. So now we have a 4-member, and I feel at least comfortable with that, having four of us.
Okay, sounds good.
And
3 out of 10 didn't seem like a good number.
Heather, I think if you have David scroll up, it kind of like how ours last year, were kind of put out, where like these are our main like areas and kind of break it up. I feel like we could put, instead of like outreach, have that be whatever, governance committee. And then, you know, these are the goals that kind of fall under that kind of category. And then this is the other committee and these are the goals. So there's still CAC goals, but they're just kind of tied more uniformly to other committees.
To a
And
subcommittee?
these are still our overarching goals, but these kind of fit more under this category and these ones kind of fit more under that category. Does that
Makes sense.
That makes sense. I understand that because I just know filling out the form myself, even filling out the form, I was like, the questions I didn't write the Google Doc for the form. It was carried over from the year before. I knew I had to keep pulling up the old document going, what is, I don't know, trying to answer that. And I'm supposed to be rating what it was. I had to go pull out what the goals were under that oversight and advice from the CAC. I didn't know what that meant. I was supposed to rate it a 1 through 5. So I don't know how many of you struggled with that, but like I had to pull it up because I'm like, I don't know what were the goals for that. So did we achieve them? What were they? So that makes sense. Nope. Okay. So the 4 of us will do that in a live and we'll
Do it in-
in link.
And you guys can share it with me and I can participate, you know, when I have a chance. It's just for me to say like, yes, I can meet at this time is going to be kind of tricky. But if you just share it with me, I'm more than happy to read through it, make comments, move things
Okay.
around or whatever.
So do we need a motion to vote on proposed goals for next month's meeting then?
Yes.
Okay. And
I
want to
motion
make, okay,
that we vote on the goals once we have had a chance to consolidate them next month.
a second.
I'll second it.
Kate, thank you. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, moving on, we're going to go to subcommittee reports. And David, do you have anything for the communications?
I had one thing I wanted to kind of bring up, and then the second part, I wondered if Heather Marshall could kind of review I guess you're going to do it at your events report. So I wanted to, and I feel like this kind of falls under the communication subcommittee in general. And it's something that I think impacts a lot of families, which is the start of the school year. And so the gist of what I'm trying to say is this: when school starts, at least in elementary, you get a phone call or an email that says, this is your new teacher. Or I think at some schools they have a, like you go, I think they're printed out or something. We don't do it at my site, but I understand that some schools do it that way, or some schools you just get the phone call and email. And so my son's in 2nd grade now, and I think every year that this has happened, we don't get like the other teacher, I guess his, the gen ed teacher or whatever. We only get the message from the sped teacher. And my understanding, it's like a logistical issue with Synergy or whatever programs, Canvas or whatever is going on. But the end result is my family and many other families then have to email the principal, call the teacher or whomever. We have to seek this info out. And I think that just starts everyone kind of it's the feeling like, oh yeah, we're, of course they don't, of course it's too much of a hassle to get get that sorted or whatever. I know none of this is intentional, and I realize that maybe this is just not a technical issue that could be solved easily, but the feeling is the same, I think, which is this kind of, okay, here's another year where I don't get this info again. And it's a very small thing in the end, because an hour later you get the information. But I think it's that feeling of it's as a SPED parent, you always live with this idea and this concept that my kid's different and they're treated different and our family's treated different. And it's just a little thing that I think could be fixed, but I mean, I don't know. But I think it just makes me, yeah.
It kind of goes against the spirit of inclusion.
Right.
We had similar experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not intentional, but it still kind of hurts. Just like, okay, here, I got a call again, and hello, can you tell me my teacher's name? Well, everyone else knows who. Oh, I'm in blah blah blah's class, and we're just sitting here twiddling our thumbs, being like, well, I don't know who our teacher is. We can guess, but I don't know. And it's like I remember being in like 4th grade or 5th grade and going to school and looking at the board and finding my name and be like, okay, I'm in Miss Miller's class. I'm going to be there on Monday. If you're a SPED kid who's in 4th grade, you go and you don't see your name. It's like, I'm sorry, son, like, I'll call the principal. And I'm like, I don't know. You just feel like you are secondary. You feel like you're not as important. And you only get that day once a year, which is that first day you get the email or you look at the paper on the board or whatever. So I would just like to, and that day has passed and there'll be another day next year, but to whatever extent that can be corrected next year, I think would be really nice. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know who to contact, but I do think that just, it just kind of sets you up on the wrong foot to begin the school year. Last year, everything, and I understand it, COVID and everything, like my son has a new case manager and it's been week 4 now, and she still doesn't have an email address. Actually, she emails us on Gmail. Even this morning, I think we just got a Gmail email from her. So I totally understand that the situations, and I just would really be so happy if that could be 100% rectified by next school year. It's very little, but I think it matters.
Can I add a point? And I suppose we all have anecdotes about these types of things. My son's now in 10th grade, so this is a while ago. When he was in 4th grade, we went to the back to school parent night, and we spent some time in the mainstream classroom. He was in an ASD classroom, but he was paired with a mainstream class. And he and 3 children with autism were all placed in the back row. So we parents were all sitting next to one another. And the teacher talked about how each child had a picture of themselves and a bit about me, and we could go and look and see what our child had done. Except all of the kids with autism weren't included in that. And I said, oh, where's my child's thing? And they said, oh, he mustn't have been here that day. But it was like a visual representation within the classroom that he wasn't included. And I think the other parents felt that way too. And it was just a really simple thing. If he wasn't there for the activity, then, the teacher could potentially have said, hey, to the special ed teacher, can you get them to do this activity, so that they feel included? Because it's like right there, and, it's really obvious that they weren't included. So I'm sorry, it's just an anecdote because it's stuck in my mind that, it hurts. So,
yeah, I mean,
and it's just one of those things, and they happen a lot.
They do. So this is just my personal thing, but I'm never on the parent email list for some reason, like every year, and it just takes the person over at Poway Unified, I think her name's Diane, like that's to the extent that I've interacted with the IT person, and I'm like, why should I know her name? This is ridiculous, like Diane, but she's awesome. But that aside, I get emails from my kid spends most of his day with his kind of gen ed teacher, right? But she sends out emails to all the parents and then like the 2 SPED families are CC'd. We're not part of that list because of logistics or whatever. And it's this constant reminder, you're actually not part of the group. Even if we are, you just kind of feel like, you know, everyone else is like just part of this master list, and oh yeah, let's CC the 2 kids too. You know, that's just what it feels like. And again, it's not intentional, and I realize no one's doing this on purpose, and it's a logistical, technical, IT issue, but it is 2021, and we do have unlimited technological resources, and I believe it should be an issue that can be solved. You know, I think that the ask is not something, you know, get 10,000 new computers or something. I think if some time was spent trying to work that out, I think it could be resolved. And, you know, I'm just, you know, maybe by next fall, you know, it's just hard because my son's like, who's my teacher? And I'm like, I think it's this person, but I don't know yet. I'll let you know in an hour or tomorrow. It's just, why do I have to say I think? I shouldn't have to. You know,
so David, just sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Just so you're aware, so I know there was a lot of parents complaining about that right after about like the ice cream parties or the popsicle parties and stuff. I did write, and I think Heather is here in the director for elementary. I did send to her, and yeah, Heather wasn't aware of it, and she was going to be all over it, so it wouldn't happen next year.
So,
I wasn't trying to cut you off, but I wanted her to have a chance to talk to you.
yeah, I didn't realize that what they call them are posting parties, and I didn't realize that those were still occurring in elementary school sites, because most of the elementary sites I worked with discontinued posting parties. And it was more just a social get together, and nobody was listing any students under any teacher names. And one of the schools where parents shared disappointment that there was a posting party, and the students from the special day class programs were not listed under their teachers. I contacted the principal, who was new to the school site, and also was disappointed that there was a posting party, because at the school she came from within the district, they had also discontinued that. So I have been reaching out to principals, sharing this, and David, I absolutely am already working on making next year better. I hear you. It shouldn't happen one more year. I 100% agree with you. So I have been reaching out to principals.
Thank you. That's the only thing I wanted to share in my thing, because I do think it's literally communication that comes from the district, and I just want to see it improve somewhat by next year.
Yeah, like I said, David, I wasn't trying to cut you off. I just knew that she was already, I had passed it on when I saw you guys posting about it. So I just wanted to get, yeah, it's heartbreaking. When my kids went through it too, so. So Kate, that puts you up on your members' toes. And
yes, so we had talked about that. Yeah, so I am happily going to get started on that soon, again after Thursday. And sorry, I've been saying that to all my clients. I can't do anything till after Thursday. And then I really would like some ideas about how to reach out to people about the website, because I might have some ideas about the website, but I'd like people to be able to reach me. And could we send out a questionnaire for that, about what they like about it, what they don't like about it, what they're having trouble with? Like you were saying, for example, the program specialist, but there were no live links. Those little things, those are really good details that I might miss. So how do I collect that information? I'm happy to sort through it. It's just I can't do it all by myself.
I know you can. There's a Google Doc, and you can make one. I don't how to do that.
Oh,
But-
I can make a questionnaire. I just said, do you want to just send it out to just CAC members, or do you want to the community in general, or what would you like to do?
That's up, what's getting it sent out to the general public is a different need. Greg's approval to do that to the list because it's a list. But
How about we start with the committee?
Yeah, if we start with us, yeah, that I'm
See where we
thinking
get.
a lot of us, yeah,
Okay.
would be able to tell us of where things are.
Okay, because I'm happy to do that. And then the members' bios should be something fairly simple to do. So I'm happy to write those. Yeah, so that's good.
Awesome.
Hey, for the member bios, you could even just send us all a Google form of sorts.
That's what I was thinking of doing.
Yeah.
And then if I had questions, I would call you and sort of interview you a little bit.
And we can
Good.
we can add in like a picture or whatever too.
Yeah. And then I'd send it to you for your approval, you know, so I don't say anything.
I mean, you can just
incorrect.
make it up after that. Be like, this is
Yeah,
what you
pretty
sent me.
much.
And if we do
Embellish
not fill out-
qualifications. Go on. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if we don't fill out them, you can make them up because we're having a hard time getting people to fill out the Google documents. We don't send them out often, but it is a problem getting them back, ladies and gentlemen, so please.
Yeah, I have to apologize. I don't think I responded to the last one, but I think it was also because I got it on my phone and all the questions looked the same, and I have terrible
you did,
eyesight.
actually. You did,
I really,
so.
I have terrible eyesight, and I was like, I'll look at that when I get home on my computer, and so that's my excuse. But I'm thinking maybe there's like a 2% population that like me who can't see. So, yeah, I can try and come up with something fairly simple.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, Alex, it's up. You're up.
It is
Remember-
that time of the year when we need to reach out and see if there's any new people that would like to join our committee and join our list of committee members and alternates. And so we need to send out a membership application. It's linked here in the agenda, but we'll probably also do a couple formal emails and coordinate. Heather will coordinate with you about verbiage and with getting it to
Perfect.
Jeanette's secretary to get it sent out to everybody.
Great. Awesome. Okay. Perfect. We'll get that done with Danielle. So as far as the governance committee, I linked the new bylaws, and I'm just going to leave that link there forever and always. So we always have the most up-to-date bylaws in the section there for everybody. It is an active link, and Tristy is now going to be a member of the governance and bylaws committee, and Jill is no longer a member of that. That happened after the agenda went out. So I appreciate Tristy signing on for that. The only thing I do have to add is we're going to, it's in the goals actually, but we're going to work on a letter writing campaign to advocate statewide agencies for SPED training for general education teachers for their certification to be mandatory with special education, because it's currently not happening now, even at a master's degree level statewide. I did send out several letters last year and was in contact after the legislative day that I went to with Jeanette. We did it virtually, and I was in talks to the certification board, and they said that they did. I have a child that's in his master's degree certification, and he's like, Mom, the only reason I even knew, they've said the IEP word twice, and that was it. They didn't even say what IEP meant. So he said, had I not known what it was because you forced me to read, my brothers and sisters, I wouldn't know what it meant. So And he's already in his second year of student teaching. So we're going to hopefully get some more CAC involvement in that and do some letter writing. So that's my goal for our team this year. Because we're not up for any bylaws to be rewritten, and since we signed the local plan last year, we're not up for renewal for that. So that'll give us some time to rewrite those letters. So that moves us to the events. So Heather Marshall.
Thank you, Heather. So the meet and greet was amazing. We had a great turnout. I want to thank all the families who came out and joined us, new and continued families in our SPED community, and all the volunteers I had that helped me set up, helped me clean up, helped me during the event, especially during the Kona Ice and the pizza handing out, because those were a lot. We had quite the turnout. I think we had maybe just under 200 because we were counting the Kona Ice, and I think we handed out about 170 or so, right around there is what Danielle said. And also big, great thanks to Danielle and all her amazing help. Couldn't have done it without her. So Jeanette, please let her know I shouted her out. And, all the ladies that helped me that day. And David, you were graciously missed. I know you would have loved to have been there. You helped immensely to plan it. So thank you so much for all your help up until the event. And we were sad that you had to miss it. But it was a really great opportunity to talk with new families. I spoke with several different families that day, and I know others of our CAC members had a chance to, and PUSD staff as well, to talk with families, new and old. So I'm hoping that moving forward, we get, some of those families to be here. Maybe you're here tonight, but it was a really, really great turnout, and I look forward to the events moving forward. Hopefully, any that we have in person, we'll be able to gather with the families again, because it was a lot of fun. So thank you.
Okay. I don't think Jill she didn't sign in, did she? I know she was going to try by the end. She didn't make it. Okay. So for the wellness committee, the one thing that Jill asked me to ask if she didn't make it was she is in need of volunteers, but she asked, she wanted to make sure she's at her cap for members to be volunteers, but she wanted to let people know, and this applies to the majority of most committees except for governance and membership. You do not need to be a CAC board member. You can join on any of the other subcommittees. It's just members that we have a limit on because we can't be more than quorum. So she is looking for parent and non-member volunteers to be a member of her wellness committee. So if anybody would like to be on the wellness committee, if it's that category, go ahead and put your name in the chat, or you can send an email to the PUSDCAC@gmail.com, and Jill would love you forever. So that would be great. Wellness, someone's asking what the wellness committee does. Jill put on a lot of, there's a list. It's a social and emotional wellness is what it really focuses on. Alex, you can probably give a better description of it than I can.
Sure. So he looks at, the effects of social emotional learning. I know one of the big things that they looked at last year was anxiety, especially with COVID and everything else that has happened, we had some parent information sessions and student involvement around mental health, and some of the supports and ways to get help. And so that's just kind of the focus, I know, is to really continue to make sure that they're spreading awareness of mental health and what resources there are, and just, you know, education surrounding that.
Great, thank you so much. Just trying to see, did Rosabelle get into the meeting, David? Okay, she was looking for her laptop because she was up next for her community engagement at the end. So the community engagement committee with Rosabelle is their first big task is, and I know she's starting it, she's been in contact with Greg several times in the last couple weeks, is to focus on the SIPSA reviews, which are going to be taking place. I know the SIPSAs have been doing the votes all over the school district and getting in place and have their meetings with their principals. So once those reports are at their prelim stage, then they'll be reviewing that, correct, Greg? Is that, I know?
So yeah, thanks this is where this stands. First of all, I wanted to, thank you guys for putting out the message, making our community aware of the opportunity that they have to serve on their school site's council, right? So every school site has a school site council, and every school site year over year looks for parent volunteers to serve. Some schools have the full complement, right? There's an exact ratio that Ed Code requires of parents to staff, to administrators, right? To balance it. But it's usually an even odd, right? So every year there's an election, and typically it's a back to school or a PTSA kind of thing where the announcement's made. Some of you may be familiar with it. You've heard of it. Some of you may not have, right? On a busy night, walking classes. So anyway, I think your email was helpful. It made people aware of the opportunity, right? So that first thing I wanted to applaud you on, because if you are a member of your school site council, you do have an opportunity, right? As the goals are being written and as the data is being analyzed, to be a part of that process organically from start to finish. So that's strategically a good place to be if that's your interest. If it's not, I still think there's an opportunity, and we tease this out, right? We are, I believe, going to be setting a date here at the district office where anyone in this group who has an interest in reviewing the students with disabilities sections of the 39 SPSAs that will be collected. We're going to set up a date here at the district office where, with myself, Mercedes Hubschmidt, a couple of people on the LSS side, we'll be able to, in a 2 or 3 hour period, kind of review those together. So, and because it'll be this group's first time, we're going to do it with you. So we'll have rubrics and templates, and you'll have the expertise of people who are very familiar with the process supporting you. So anyone that wants to participate, I don't have that date yet. I'm still meeting with the LSS side to get that. But if you're not on your school site council team, and that's really okay, there'll be future opportunities year over year. Like I said, that'll always be a thing in the fall. So if you miss that opportunity, or if your school didn't need a parent volunteer this time, don't be discouraged. There'll be another opening, another entry point. And in the interim, right, we'll commence this new category of work probably in the next few weeks, where I'll set a date and a time, and where we'll meet here at the district office and review those plans. Okay.
Perfect. Great. Thank you, Greg. I know Roosevelt just texted me now that I'm driving. I still didn't make it home. So she was worried about missing that, and I told her that you were here. So, and this is really what these kind of items are, what the community engagement group is going to be about. I know there was people that were kind of confused about when we set this committee up last year. This group is going to be specifically about doing things like the SIPSA review and other chances and opportunities that present themselves from like the Board of Education or other items that really we're trying to get more of a seat at the table in the districts to follow through on those kind of things. So that's where we're at with those. So let's see, we're almost there, guys. So our next meeting is going to be October 12th. Agenda items will be due on 10:01. The people that offered to help me work on the list for the thing, maybe we can set that as a goal. Hopefully we can switch those out and send them the list to look at for the proposed goals. That would be a great time to try to flip that around if that works for everybody. But if you get your agenda items to PUSD again, cac@gmail.com. If you're a subcommittee, remember, I didn't say that earlier because I was really nervous about doing this for the first time. You do not have to worry about, I mean, if it's better to get your items on there, so I have an idea of how much time to separate for you, but you do not have to, just like wellness didn't have something written on there. I'm going to ask each specific subcommittee person to do a report. But if you have something that's longer, like the SIPSA thing was going to take longer when Roosevelt talked about it, and she had given me a time thing, we definitely need to have some kind of an item. So if you miss the deadline to get your item on the agenda, that's just to send me a time and a message so I know how much time to save for you. So that's that. So the last year we decided we were going to close the meeting out because the wellness group loved it and the board has adopted this as well. We wanted to close the meeting on shout outs, and I have a great one that came up. Last year we had and besides having a TOSAs, which are the teachers on special assignment, last year I found out at going to one of the board meetings that we had one classified, and it was an IA on special assignment. And I was super excited about that. So when I asked about it, I found out by a board member that this year we have 4 classified on assignments this fall, which were IAs, correct, Greg? And I think that's 3. Okay, so that's amazing. I love that that we're going to have that and get the IA's perspective at the special assignment and get that at the district level and get that there. So I wanted to give a shout out to the district employees for recognizing that that information needs to be shared on a wider level. So great job. So thank you. And unless there's anything else, anybody else have anything? Then let's close the meeting at 7:44.
Great job, Heather.
Thanks.
Amazing. Good job.
Thanks. David, want to stop recording? Perfect.